welcome to the City Talk podcast, Common Sense Politics with Eyes on Orlando. So, we're going to talk a little bit about what City Talk is here to accomplish. We are a thoughtful podcast that delves into the current state of affairs of the city beautiful, Orlando. In a city that has been long recognized for its charm and beauty, the show sheds light on the pressing issues that are challenging the city's community now. With a mayor who has been in office for 2 decades, that's 20 years, 5 terms going on 6 terms, the podcast examines the desire for change in the leadership. Muddy Buddy Mayor Dyer has been in tenure for far too long, and the people are calling for term limits as the community seeks a fresh perspective and renewed governance. The city's allure has been marred by rising crime rates, violence, undermining the city's safety of the residents, the escalating rents, the lack of affordable housing, further stains the lives of Orlando's populace, creating a sense of instability and hardship. Homelessness, drugs, crime, and shootings have been an unfortunate uprise, and this is questioning the leadership of Mayor Dyer. City Talk serves as a platform for insightful discussion with a diverse array of voices, including pastors, businessmen, leaders, lawmakers, community advocates, and more. By providing a comprehensive view of the city's issues, the podcast aims to educate and inform the community about their actions when selecting who they put in office to lead them. Transparency is a guiding principle with the intention of empowering the residents to make informed decisions during this upcoming Orlando election. With this pivotal election on the horizon, we're here to advocate for the retirement of Mayor Buddy Dyer. The podcast aims to equip listeners with knowledge and perspective needed to enact at the ballot box. The belief that information is power underscores every conversation as the show strives to foster dialogue that can ignite positive transformation within the city. City Talk, Common Sense Politics, Eyes on Orlando seeks to bridge the gap between the community and its leaders, presenting a clear and transparent message that resonates with both sides or all 3 sides of the aisle, whether you're on the blue team, the green team, or the red team. We talk and communicate with all residents. By elevating important conversations and shedding light on critical issues, this podcast empowers the Orlando residents. We're here to reshape the city's trajectory and redefine what it means to be the city beautiful. I am your host for this podcast, Damania Salas, and we are going to have some interesting rides, interesting conversations, some fun times, some silly times, some comic times, some parody times in this podcast, but we're mostly going to have some very good conversation in reference to the issues facing this great city. Before we continue with this episode, we are looking at District 4. We are looking at the current candidates that is currently running for office in that city seat. So, Commissioner seat, District 4, we have an incumbent, Patty Sheehan, who has been in office. This, I believe, it's either her 6th term or she's going for the 6th term. So she's been in over 20 years, I believe it is. And the next one in this race is Randy Ross, who is not shy about getting on the platform and entering these races. He has taken on Patty Sheehan before. In 2015, he ran for the same seat 10 years ago. He ran for the same seat, and unfortunately, he was not able to take the Patty Sheehan machine down. And so he's now back at it again, and hopefully this time Mr. Ross will be able to knock Patty Sheehan off her stool, so to speak. And the next person we have in this race is a newcomer to all of this. Her name is Katie Koch, and she is a mother, wife, business owner right here in the district. This is her first turn in this political space, and we are eager to hear and see what it is that Katie Koch stands for. I know she's talked a little bit about term limits, and she's worried about businesses and regulation. So I'm eager to get in touch and to see exactly where she stands on the rest of the issues, such as the homelessness that's growing here immensely in our area. And of course, the affordable housing problem. The problem is we have no affordable housing. There is no affordable housing, and people are being evicted left and right. People cannot afford the rents. And so therefore, people are pitching their tents right downtown in the city. And so that becomes a problem for the mayor, who is now going on for a 6th term, ladies and gentlemen. He is going for a 6th term. But today we're not really going to talk about the mayor as much as we're going to talk about these 3 candidates. And mostly we're going to really focus on term limits. The fact that Patty Sheehan has been in office for so long, and year after year after year she gets in, and nobody seems to be able to get in. And sometimes people wonder, is the racist fixed? That's a question that I hear a lot from residents. Why is it that nobody else can get in? How is it that these people are in 15, 20 years solid, and anybody who runs against them can't take down any of the machines? And so the machine that we're talking about today is District 4 incumbent Patty Sheehan. We're going to take a brief break and have a word from our sponsor, which is the Orlando Patriot. Orlando Patriot is a patriotic website where you can purchase your flags, magnets, hats, t-shirts, everything patriotic. Right now they have a sale going on. You're getting 30% off at checkout with code CityTalk. And so check them out, Orlando Patriot, so you can get your discount on all of your patriotic products, and so you can show your pride to your community and your neighbors, letting them know that you are a patriot. Again, that's orlandopatriot.com, and the coupon code is CityTalk. All right, thank you so much. And also, if you would like to have your business talked about or showcased on the program, we would be happy to do so. You can email citytalkpolitics@gmail.com for all of that information. We can talk about your business, promote it, so this way the community is able to get in touch with you, so you can, whatever services that you offer, so that you can grab some good customers from our program. So we have sponsorships available for that. For our local businesses. And if you're a leader, or if you're a listener to the podcast and you have a leader or somebody you'd like to showcase here on the program, somebody whose voice is moving around the city, and you'd like to amplify their voice on the program, please, again, send us a line, email us at citytalkpolitics@gmail.com, and we would be happy to reach out and send them information to either be a part of our audience or be a guest, and have some conversations about what it is that they're seeing, so we can amplify their voice. Again, this is City Talk, and again, this is not about what color is behind your name, red, blue, or green. The only color we know is the blood color of our patrioticness. That is all we know. We bleed red, white, and blue, and that is the colors that we're for. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to go back into our look into Patty Sheehan and the two candidates, Patty Sheehan, Randy Ross, and Katie Koch, on this race for the commissioner's seat in District 4. Let us start with Katie Koch. Now, Katie, as we said, she is a newcomer to this plan. This is her first time out, and we're going to just learn a little bit about her here. I do have her door hanger in my hand right here, and we're going to take a look at her website also to see what it is that Katie Koch stands for. She is, again, a mother, business owner, and we're going to go to her website, Katie Koch, K-O-T-C. So here we are with Katie Koch and her website. And she's got a hashtag, Vote Katie Koch, hashtag Vote Katie Koch. Katie Koch for Orlando Commissioner District 4. Now, I've had the distinct pleasure of meeting Katie Koch. I had the privilege of being at her campaign kickoff a couple of weeks ago. And we were able to take some footage of her with the Common Sense Florida PAC. It was a very interesting time, very nice family, her husband and all of them, very, very nice and pleasant people. So we're going to take this moment to highlight a little bit about this candidate. She's a local business owner, executive, and working mom who has filed for Orlando Commissioner seat District 4 for the November 7th elections. She says, I am running for District 4 City Commissioner because I have some real problems that are not being addressed. And it's time moms with school-aged children have representation on the Orlando City Council, stated Katie Koch. Now, I don't know if that's a jab to the esteemed Patty Sheehan. Maybe she doesn't have school-age children on the platform, being that she's a lesbian. I mean, I guess I don't know if she has any children, so I don't know. But she's a member of the LGBTQ plus, so I don't know if this is a jab at her not having children in the schools. So, and again, Patty Sheehan has been the one in there since 20 years, so she has no children in the schools. Katie Koch is an executive in IFCO systems and has 18 years of experience in logistics and data analysis. Side of supply chain management. Katie is also national coordinator of IFCO's CARES, which organizes community give back, volunteer opportunities for their employees. Okay, her husband, he's a doctor, Dr. Robert Koch, have been married for 15 years, two school-aged children, and they are owners of Essential Mind and Body, a downtown Orlando chiropractic health and wellness business. Okay, we're going to move to a quote that she has here. I am a working mom who believes in a neighborhood-focused, citizen-run government. I like it. Let's say it again. I am a working mom who believes in a neighborhood-focused, citizen-run government. Well, isn't that what we're supposed to do? We are the people who are supposed to run government. We elect them, and they, vote for our voices, but essentially, we are a city citizen-run government. So that point of hers is very clear, and this is the way it should be. That's why I plan to champion term limits and a rollback of pay raises for commissioners. I'm not sure. I did hear recently, I'm not sure if it's the city commissioners or the county commissioners. Again, we have two sets of them here, folks, two sets. And we have 2 sets and 2 mayors also. And so I know that recently one of them, or maybe both of them, I don't know, gave themselves raises. It's so funny, in this Biden economy, people can actually find ways to give themselves raises. The government, that is. Not we folks out here in the slums working for pennies. Like my man said, rich men south of rich men. Yes. As he says, we're out here working for pennies, and these people who are pretty much doing nothing with their thumbs up their nose, pretty much, just to show up for meetings every once in a while, are getting pay raises on top of the high pay that they're already getting. So it's a very interesting thing. So I like that she says she wants to roll back pay raises for these commissioners. And she says, I will also prioritize spending on the law enforcement, crime prevention, and road infrastructure repair. We're gonna stop there before we move on. She said something that just kind of triggered me. It just kind of triggered me. She said, I will prioritize spending on law enforcement and crime prevention. We're gonna hold the beast right there. Now, Katie Koch, she is a registered NPA, I believe. But in this day and age, in this climate that we're in, if you say something like prioritize spending on law enforcement, that sounds to me like you're, what they call us, a far right white supremacist. If you're talking to back the police and make sure the police have money to spend, sounds to me like that's a racist term from what they tell us. If you are for law enforcement, then you're a racist. If you're for law enforcement, then you're a bigot. If you're for law enforcement, then you're a xenophobe, homophobe, xenophobe, everything phobe you are. So I find it interesting that Katie Koch would put on here that I will also prioritize spending on law enforcement and crime prevention. Now, let's handle the crime prevention part. If you say that you want to lock up killers and criminals, then you're a racist, you're a white supremacist, you're a homophobe, xenophobe, and so on. You see my point here, friends. If you want law and order in your community, and this is what we hear in cities across the states, we hear it in Baltimore, in New York, and all of these different liberal-run cities, where if you're for law enforcement, if you're crime prevention, then you must be a bigot. So, question to Katie Koch. Katie Koch, do you consider yourself a bigot for wanting to protect the families and children in your community from crime and criminals and killers? Katie Koch, there's a question. Are you a, what is it? Are you a homophobe, racist-phobe, xenophobe? I forget how all of them go, but you all get my drift. And again, friends, making a little parody here, just so we understand, we're making a little parody here to just enforce the craziness that if you're for law enforcement and crime prevention, then you're some sort of bigot or a racist. And I really find it interesting when you talk about this subject that, if you say crime prevention, they say you're a racist. And does that mean that it's black people that's creating all of the crimes? Is that what they mean when they say, if you say crime prevention, then you're talking about people, then you're talking about black people, so you're a racist. So I would argue that maybe perhaps that they are the ones who's the racist and labeling black people as one with crime prevention. So if you're crime prevention, then that you're a racist. And if you're a racist, obviously you're a racist against Black people. But we're going to continue on with this. Again, she says, I will prioritize spending on law enforcement, crime prevention, road and infrastructure repair. So in our District 4, we have the beautiful red brick walls, roads. They're beautiful, beautiful scene, kind of remind me of the streets of Paris, walking out there in the beautiful Paris. But friends, we ain't in Paris. We's here in Orlando. And yeah, they're pretty to look at, but they're a beast to drive on. Okay, I'm going to just stand up and say, I don't care for them. I don't care for them. I don't like riding on the paved bricks. I just don't care for it. I will go around. If I'm headed in a route in the district here, and I'm thinking, oh God, I have to get on the brick roads. Oh no, I'm remapping and revamping and finding myself a different route because I don't like to I don't like to drive on them. And so I'm not in that red brick road, but I am in there for infrastructure repair. Maybe they can repair it by just, covering them up. I don't know, but I don't know. I just don't like them. But infrastructure repair, I can definitely get with because I've definitely seen some pretty rough roads out here in the city that does need addressing. And because we have so many people moving here, there's so many people on the roads, and so infrastructure is definitely a good idea. And I'm gonna just switch it real quick to the I-4 that we recently had work done on. And when I first moved out here to Orlando, we getting on the I-4 was really a nightmare because I was new to the area, didn't know how all that ran. But around the time I moved here, they started the project of expanding the I-4, which now is really good. I used to go to the beach a lot before I discovered the issues that we're facing in our community and decided I was going to become a full-fledged advocate in the fight. So I stopped going to the beach for a while. So before I would head to the beach, like at least once every other weekend, I would be up there in New Smyrna living the dream and worshiping the sun, reading books, listening to music, having a few cocktails out there. You can't be on the beach without having cocktails. And so that was the life for a while. And then, God started talking to my heart in reference to the issues. And so I kind of put those games aside or those times aside, and I picked up the advocate podium, and which is one of the reasons we have this podcast today. And so my whole point of saying all that is that I used to drive on the I-4 constantly, and it was such a nightmare. Every time I got on, I'd say, God, you take the realm. Please, you drive me up and drive me back. And, life was good back then. I could probably, if I didn't want to drive back, because it's an hour from here to the Smyrna beach, I might take a room or just, something like that. And so driving back and forth was really, really a beast on the I-4, the traffic and all of it. And so recently I was on the I-4. I went up to Daytona Beach for an event, and I was shocked to see that the work was completely done. The roads were open. I was like, holy camole, what is this? How is this? Am I really on the I-4? Like, what happened? So that was a really, really great project. And I remember earlier this year, actually, the governor had a conference on transportation, and I was honored to be in the room that day. And he was talking about the I-4, and I hadn't experienced the finished product as of yet. but he talked and boasted about how awesome it was and why they took on the project. And because again, Orlando is growing, this area is growing massively. We're having tons and tons of people's liberals probably coming in from California, New Jersey, New York, and all over the country. And I tell them, if you're going to come here, don't bring your politics from California. Don't bring your politics from liberal Jersey. Don't bring your politics from liberal New York. Don't do it. Just had to throw that in, friends. Just had to throw that in. So, but the governor tooted about that, and he talked about the train that they're working on as well. That's going to be coming from Miami to our location here. So all of these things are being put in process so we could push Orlando and our city better. So I am all for infrastructure repair and doing the things that's necessary on the road. So Katie Koch, I am right there with you. And she also stands for making it easier for new businesses to start up. And so I can attest to this. I can agree with this because when I first moved here again, I was starting a small business. I came here from the real estate business, and I said I don't want to get back into real estate. I'll start a. I used to be heavy in the REO business in New Jersey, and so I knew a lot about that. And I thought, well, instead of going into the real estate sales aspect of it, I will go into the trash out business side of it. So I went to open up a company to do trash outs for banks and properties and so on, not necessarily managing them, but really just being the person with the crew going in and cleaning up the places, for evictions and so on, just being that thing. But I went in to do this. At the time, I was living in an apartment complex, and it was like, oh no, you can't really do such a thing out of your home. You've got to go and get the landlord to give you the okay. Oh, you got to have a proper address. You can't be at your address. Oh, you can't have a PO box address. You need a physical address. And I went down there to City Hall. I'll never forget. I was like, oh my God, why is it so hard to open up a little business? Like, why is it so hard to do that here? I couldn't understand it. So I can attest and relate to what Katie Koch is saying here. They put up so many regulations that you can't even do business here. So so thus far, some of the things that Katie Koch is advocating for, I am definitely on board. I'm just not on board for those red brick roads. We're going to take a quick break, friends, and we'll be back shortly. Here's a word from our sponsor. City Talk Podcast, Common Sense Politics, Eyes on Orlando. We are so proud to partner with the Orlando Patriot. Orlando Patriot is an online store, patriotic merchandise, everything you need, flags, t-shirts, hats, magnets, and more. They have wonderful patriotic merchandise to support all of your causes where you can show off your patriotic spirit. So Orlando Patriot, they are currently offering 30% off on all merchandise. And the coupon code is City Talk. Okay. Again, back to Randy Ross for City Council. And he says, together we can increase public funding for public safety to fight. Together we can increase funding for public safety to fight rising crime and improve our medical emergency services, EMS, creating a safer Orlando. Then together, improve red brick street maintenance and repairs. Well, she never met Katie Koch never said red paved streets, but I gotta say here, Randy did say that. And I am not for those roads. I can't stand them. Even though they're chic and lovely and they're classy and all of that, I just don't like driving on them. Maybe if I walk them, it might be a difference, but driving on them, I don't care to. So this is definitely a cause for Randy Ross, the red brick maintenance of the roads. And then he says together term limits for all municipal elections. So they have this in common, okay? And together improve services for senior care and rehabilitation. So Randy Ross is a caregiver for his mother, who I had the pleasure of meeting not too long ago at his campaign kickoff. She was the sweetest little old lady. She was very sweet. And so she's on the picture with him, by the way. And so he has here his career and things that he's done. He's been a 30-year caregiver to his mom, Betty. And oh, that's really sweet. Randy Ross has a bachelor's degree and so on. Randy Ross has organized the charge for many community events, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, benefiting Harbor House, and he's raised money for AIDS Walk Orlando, and he has definitely been an advocate in this community. He has been here since 1993. And as I said before, this is the second time that Randy Ross is taking on the Patty Sheehan machine for this race. He took her back on in 2015. At the time, it was a three-legged race, as it is right now. And so, and back then, he lost significantly. I think he got 20% maybe. And Patty Sheehan got like 70%. And I think the third leg got like 10% of the vote. And so we're pretty much looking at the same thing. If I'm not mistaken, we're looking at a three-way legged race right here. And I mean, I'm one person who likes to look at history. And the last time they did this, the three-legged race, the vote was splitted amongst the two, and Patty Sheehan came out victorious. So even though she had like over 50% of the vote, so who knows if the same thing will happen now. I have to say that I've received Randy Ross's door hanger, and I've received Katie Koch's door hanger, but I've not received Patty Sheehan's door hanger. Maybe she thinks it's in the bag, and therefore she doesn't have to get your vote. She doesn't have to ask for your vote because it's going to be automatic. Why? Because she's the machine. But at least we know these two are out here working, trying to get your vote. So let's read a little bit more about Randy Ross here from this article from Florida Politics, I believe. Let's see, here it is. Yep, it's from Florida Politics, and the writer of this article is Jacob Ogles. And so Randy Ross to challenge Patty Sheehan for Orlando City Council. He ran and lost to Sheehan in 2015. Conservative active Randy Ross announced he's running for Orlando City Council. He will challenge 6 terms. My God, this woman has been in for 6 terms. Patty Sheehan, the Orlando City Council needs to stop trying to ran San Francisco or Orlando, Ross says. Oh, I get it. Don't San Francisco my Orlando. That's what he's saying, point blank. No, nothing else to go with it. We don't want it here. We don't San Francisco our Orlando. Don't LO our Orlando. Don't New York our Orlando. Don't Jersey our Orlando. Don't Baltimore our Orlando. Don't bring your liberal nonsense to our great city. And let's see how the Orlando this people said it again. The Orlando City Council needs to stop trying to San Francisco or Orlando, Ross said. So it's the council that he's saying that's doing that. I was thinking about the liberals moving here, but this is saying to the council. And when you think about it, it is actually true, because in all of these cities that we've just talked about, everybody in there is liberal mayors, liberal leaders, liberal councils. So we need conservative voices on our council here, is what Randy Ross is saying. And I would argue to say, yes, we do. We need conservative voices on here, because if we have conservative voices on here, these people will be doing something about the growing homeless camps that we're seeing popped up all over the place, including people living in bus stops right here in the county, people living in bus stops right here in the city, right here in the district. So again, we are vocally advertising and vocally talking about, do not let our city become a shithole like those other shithole cities, such as Baltimore and Chicago and New York City, once a beautiful city. San Francisco, once a beautiful city. Now, you can't, it is so sad what's happened to San Francisco. Let's not even go in there. So, let's continue. Patty Sheehan is most notable as the first openly gay, officially elected to the office in Florida. She won her seat on the Orlando Commissioner back in 2000. So wait a minute. If she got her seat in 2000, oh my God. So she's in 23 years almost. No, she's in 23 years. Not almost, 23. Oh my God. That goes to show you, these people come in and they never want to leave. This is who they call career politicians. Okay. She has faced Ross before, most recent in the 2015. She won her re-election by 69. Wow, it was 69%. We already talked about that, the three-legged race, so I won't even go over that. Ross is an openly gay man. So we've got a gay man against a lesbian woman. Hey, it is what it is. Ross, an openly gay man, has been active for years in Republican politics, including serving as Orange County chair of Donald Trump's presidential campaign in 2016. Sheehan, for her part, said she did not fear a rematch with Ross. Why would she, when the machine's the machine and they already have that base? The same base that's coming out to put Buddy Dyer back in is the same one that's coming out to put Sheehan back in, and the other two that's also in the race right now, which is District 2 and also District 6. He's Orlando's George Soros, she said. What? Oh, George Santos. I just saw George Soros because that's always on the brain. He's Orlando's George Santos, she said. He's even taken a page from the Santos page book and said he has no money but loaned himself $10,000. But I beat him in the past. I don't think a gay Republican is going to win in this district, especially one who is running against progressive Orlando. Yo. So I guess the gay community is not for Randy Ross because he's a Republican. I mean, I don't know nothing about them except that they're very, very liberal in their views and very progressive, and I don't live in that wheelhouse. So we're going to just leave that there. Ross has loaned his campaign $10,000 according to the first financial report. Yeah, I'm not going to read all into this in reference to all of this. So I just wanted to see if what they had anything in reference to the campaign. This seems to me more of a smear campaign thus far. I guess he's loaned himself money to run his campaign. I mean, that's not unusual. Coming from a 6-term commissioner who mocks Jesus during Easter, he is woke, plus her involvement in the Pulse healing by inhibiting closure for the community, Ross said. Yeah, this is more punching at each other, but this part, I'm gonna just speak on that real quick. This Facebook page or this social post that was done, coming from a 6-term commissioner who mocks Jesus during Easter. Yeah, she made a post that's saying he is woke, as in, we Christians say he is risen because he has risen from the grips of hell and death. For our sins, he died and saved us from our sins. So he has risen. But Patty Sheehan said that he is woke. And so it's, I think it is a slap in the face as a Christian to hear that, because when we know the term woke and what it means right now is, people who are very, very progressive in their policies and in their thinking and in their lifestyles and in their everything. Everything is over the scope progressive and it's woke. I mean, the idea being that we're in this community talking about this right now, I might as well throw it in. We're in a community, in a space, in a progressive space where people are telling you men can become women and women can become men. I mean, and they're advocately advocating to castrate children. And so, I mean, this is beyond progressive. This is murderous. This is insanity to think that things that has been established for centuries from the beginning of time, that man is a man, a woman is a woman, and now you're telling people, hey, you don't have to be a man if you want to be a woman. You don't have to be a woman if you want to be a man. It's lunacy and it's progressive insanity. And I'm going to put that soapbox down and move on. So that's what they have here for Randy Ross, but I'll say they talk a little bit about his last race, and he says, "The city I love and felt safe in is fading," Ross said. "We can save Orlando with new inspired leadership, improving our city beautiful for generations to come. Enough of the tent cities, enough of crime, enough of complacency." And he's absolutely right. We are seeing these tents being put up in our own areas in this community, downtown, under that bridge over there by the I-4 and Amelia. Yeah, we have the tents are out there. So I absolutely 100% agree with Ross when he says that, we can save Orlando. We do remember once upon a time there was a city and the name was New York City. Once upon a time it had the same problems: drug infested, crime infested, needles infested. It was a shithole, as we like to say. It was a shithole. But you know what? There was a man. There was a mayor. And his name was Rudy Giuliani. And Rudy Giuliani said, you know what? We're going to enforce the law at every turn. We're going to enforce it from jaywalking to you not picking up your dog poop in Central Park, you walking the street without the lights being on to you, we're going to enforce it. You spreading graffiti on the trains, whatever it is, whatever crime, from the smallest to the highest. And if you were out there killing people, shooting people, robbing people, you're going to jail. And he did that, and he cleaned up the city. And that is what every city needs to do. They need to follow the Rudy Giuliani blueprint on how to clean up city. Baltimore should be looking at that. Chicago should be looking at that. And right here in the City Beautiful should be looking at that. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and wrap up this episode. We are so proud to partner with businesses in the community, such as the Orlando Patriot. If you want to amplify your business voice on our program, please email us at citytalkpolitics@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And for the Orlando Patriot, you can find them at orlandopatriot.com and get yourself 30% off on your purchase. Katie Koch, Randy Ross, and Patty Sheehan. Patty Sheehan, the incumbent, again, she's been there for forever and a day. It is time for these term limits to be implemented. So it was recently proposed at the last city council meeting. A strong conservative citizen stood up to speak to this madness of people being in office for more than 20 years and so on. So he asked the committee councils, he asked the commissioners to put term limits on the ballot for this November. And so they listened. Buddy Dyer says, we will take it into consideration. And so I am encouraging all of you citizens to come out and encourage them to put term limits on the ballot, because it is time. We need new leadership. These people who has been settled in their seats for all these decades need to find their way out. We need to retire Dyer, retire Sheehan, and retire the rest who has made this their career for the last 10, 15, 20, and some 20 plus years. So this November, we're hoping that term limits will be put on the ballot, that the commissioners will do their job and stand up against Buddy Dyer, their boss, and do put it on the ballot, because the commissioners have the power to do so. So if you know your commissioner, and again, Bakari Burns' seat is also up for re-election. I don't believe anybody's running against him. And you tell him, look, it looks like you're going to get back in, but this is something you need to vote on. And you get yourself another term, and then 4 years after this term, you can go up. Maybe you can run for mayor yourself with term limits being added on. That actually gives them another 8 years. So again, we're hoping that they will stand up against the machine and put this on the ballot in November. Again, the election is November 7th. And we also have a special election that's happening in District 35, which is a House seat. And that election, the primaries will be on November 7th, but the election, the general, will be sometime, I believe, in February. So this election in November is very important for the city and the races here, but it's also very important for the primary race of District 35, the House seat. So thank you all very much for joining me on this episode, where we took a closer look at the 3 candidates that's currently running for the House seat 3. That is currently running for District 4. Patty Sheehan, Randy Ross, and Katie Koch. Without further ado, we're going to wrap up this podcast. It's been great having this conversation and taking a dive into our candidates. I am looking forward to interviewing Randy Ross in the next week or so coming, and also Katie Koch. We're looking to interview her as well in the next coming weeks for this program. And perhaps we will send out an invite to the machine herself, Patty Sheehan, and see if she will come into the program for a conversation about her lifelong service in District 4. This is City Talk Politics, Common Sense Politics, with eyes on Orlando. I am your host, Amanya Salas, and I will be moving on and wrapping up this episode. Thank you all so much. Please check out our Facebook page, listen to the podcast on the Spotify stations. We're at Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts. We have the City Talk YouTube channel where you can watch this video as well. And we encourage you to do both. If you can listen, great. Do it on the traditional platforms. If you can watch, then great. Watch us on the YouTube. And if you want to catch a few shorts, we'll have some of those in the channel as well, in the YouTube channel. And we're also on the Rumble. We are streaming on Rumble as well, because YouTube can be very sensitive about certain topics. And I've learned this the hard way from my other YouTube channel, The Conservative Poet. There you can catch me talking about the issues in a more informal setting, more parody, a little bit more relaxed fun. So you can catch me there on The Conservative Poet as well. So with that being said, I'm going to bid you a good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you again for liking us, subscribing, listening, and please be a part of the conversation. We do have questions at the end of the podcast to engage with you and to get your thoughts and your opinions on how we're doing. We are new, and so we do ask that you share the content with friends, family, and neighbors in the community. Again, this is all about our city, and we want to engage with everyone. It doesn't matter what color, red, white, and blue is what we bleed as Americans. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next episode.